Hello and welcome to the Homeless Consultants channel. My name is Paul B. I am the Homeless Consultant. And you know what? If nothing else, the Homeless Consultant channel is meant to be a public service to you. And for that reason, I interrupted what I'm doing. I was working on my series on showing that computer models for pandemic predictions are junk science. And I interrupted that. I asked my staff here at the Homeless Consultant to go out and find a whole bunch of warnings from the experts, because the experts know what they're talking about, and I really want to look at these and pass them on to you so that you'll be safe. I haven't had a chance to look at these yet, but I've got a pretty good staff here, so let's get with it. We got to get to this and keep you safe. The first one here, let's see. Experts warn that Australia is at risk from drought and rising water levels. Isn't Australia mostly a desert? Is at risk from drought. At risk? What does that mean? Well, sorry, I'm not really sure what they're talking about here. At risk? I don't know what that means. Let's go on to the next one, see if we can help you out a little better here. See here. Oh, here we go. Experts warn Californians to brace for the big one. Now, this is important, folks. I don't want anyone getting hurt. Experts warn Californians to brace for the big one. They say the San Andreas Fault is locked, loaded, and ready to go. Oh man, that is really scary. That was written in 2016. What the heck? It's 4 years old. Experts warn Californians to brace for the big brace. When you're on an airplane, do they tell you to brace for impact if the plane's going to crash more than 4 years later? I'm sorry. I just didn't have time to look at these first. Let's go on to the next one. California at risk of devastating, in capital letters, devastating tsunami. Experts, here we go. Experts warn tragedy is long overdue. And we don't want tragedy to be long overdue. This could be a problem. Hold it. Did they say, oh no, they said at risk. California at risk of devastating tsunami. Isn't California on the coast? I don't have a U.S. map. Is California the one next to Kansas or the one over on the Pacific Ocean? If it's the one on the Pacific Ocean, it's probably always at risk of a tsunami. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to skip that one. Climate change could pose catastrophic security threat. Experts warn. Experts warn. Hold it. Climate change could pose catastrophic security threat. Could. What does that mean? That means that even if it doesn't, that they were right. Because the word could is very vague. You see, I don't understand who came up with this report anyway? Oh, the Center for Climate and Security. They're the ones who came up with the report saying that climate change could pose a catastrophic security threat. It was the Center for Climate and Security who came up with that. I'm a little concerned there might be some bias there, so I'm gonna move on to the next one here, shall we? Here we go. This one comes from not just an expert, but a leading expert. Now we're cooking with gas. All right. Killer flu pandemic could hit at any time, wiping out 300 million across the globe. 300 million? That's almost the entire population of the United States. But what do they mean, could hit at any time? The killer flu could always hit at any time. I mean, the Spanish flu. What has changed exactly? And what does could mean? It's a leading expert? All right, I'm gonna move on. Here's the sixth one. Pandemic could wipe out 900 million people? Experts warn. Well, experts. Hi, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but while I was editing, I realized I had to make a correction here. Of course, I did not mean 900 million. I meant 300 million people will die, according to the expert. Thank you. But what do they mean it could wipe out 900 million people? Hi, I'm so sorry to interrupt again, but I have to make another correction. I was right in the first place. It's 900 million who are going to die, according to this expert. It was the previous expert it was the previous expert who said it was 300 million. Here it's 900 million. I'm sorry, it's hard to keep track of which expert says what. Back to the video. Pandemic could wipe out all people on Earth. It could wipe out one person, two person, three people, four people, five people, six people, seven people. 7,599,999,999 people, or 7,600,000,000 people. Because that's how many people are on Earth. So technically a flu epidemic could, especially a killer flu epidemic, could kill any number of people. Man, I don't want to read that one again. That took forever. Let's move on here. Okay, California earthquake. 400,000 at risk. They're at risk. If a major quake strikes the West Coast, experts warn. Experts. But again, what does at risk mean exactly? I mean, there can pretty much be an earthquake almost anywhere. I mean, at risk? It's California. I mean, when are you not at risk of if a major quake strikes? So they're not telling you that a major quake's going to strike. So on the condition that such and such happens, then 400,000 people are at risk. Not 399,999 and not 400,001 people, but exactly 400,000 people are at risk. Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. For a moment, I thought this might be junk science. I'm so sorry. When I read the fine print, it says 250,000 to 400,000 people are at risk. They could be stranded without a roof over their heads. What? Minnesota has at least 19,601 people with no roof over their heads, and they couldn't care less. They don't do a dang thing to help them. They do everything they can to hurt those people. What's that going to matter? And these guys model themselves in Minnesota after California. You know, left, liberal, progressive, moving forward. So what does it matter if all these people have no roof over their head? Nobody cares, at least in Minnesota, and they model themselves after the way California does things, all this leftist crap. And what's this stuff about 250,000 to 400,000 people? That's a pretty big margin of error. That's 150,000 out of 400,000 that they're leaving. I'm going to skip this one, folks. I don't think these people know what they're talking about here. I'm really sorry. I'll talk to my staff. I'm really sorry. Here we go. Number 8, locust swarms. Okay, now this is important. Locust swarms as big as cities are causing a crisis in Africa. As experts warn, they could get 400 times bigger. What, the locust could get 400 times bigger? That's a big locust. Oh, the swarm could get 400 times big. Could? What do you mean could get? That means that if they don't get 400 times bigger, this statement was still accurate, because the statement doesn't actually tell you anything. What the heck? I'm not sure if you're aware, but the scientific method, one of the things that it requires is predictive ability, and the predictions must always come true. But they're predicting it could maybe, we don't know, get 400 times bigger, not 399 times bigger, not 401 times bigger, but what a coincidence, exactly 400 times bigger. Man, I would have to say that either that is one heck of a prediction, although the word could kind of means that they don't even know what they don't even have any confidence in what they're saying, but either that or this is just crap, because it doesn't meet the standards of the scientific method. So to me, I'm sorry, that one sounds a lot like kind of wild speculation. I'm so sorry. Let's move on here. Number 9, as aftershocks rattle Southern California. Okay, they have earthquakes over there. A more powerful earthquake could strike soon, experts warn. Wow. I lived in Southern California. My band played there, and a 10-year-old child knows that if you have an earthquake, there could be aftershocks, and they might be bigger than the original one. I'm not exactly sure what these experts are saying here. Could strike soon? That means that if it doesn't strike soon, or strike at all, I guess, then the statement is still technically correct because they didn't tell you anything. They just said it could happen soon. Well, Bigfoot could go do a dance in the middle of San Diego Harbor, too, walking on water. Could happen. I doubt that it will. I'm going to skip this one. This doesn't sound like science to me. How about this one? Number 10. Next generation may never see the glory of coral reefs. Now, that would be sad. Those coral reefs, those things are beautiful. Undersea forests bleached and killed by rising ocean temperatures might disappear in a disappear in a few decades, experts warn. What do you mean they might disappear? The undersea forests bleached and killed by rising ocean temperatures might disappear. Well, the undersea forest might turn into Hershey's Kisses. They might. What the heck does that? What's that have to do with science? I'm sorry. Give me a second. I'm kind of confused here. The thing is, I've studied anti-smoking for 32 years, and they wrote the playbook for how to lie with junk science, how to create a scare, so that people will become terrified and give up their liberties and allow themselves to have their money stolen, things like that. And climate change scientists more or less stole the playbook from anti-smokers and just copied it. They just replaced smoking with climate change. And again, the climate change scientists since the 60s have had a couple dozen very specific predictions, like this island right here is going to be underwater by this year, and not even one of those predictions has ever come true. Not even one of them. And the scientific method requires that every prediction is precise and it comes true. I'm going to skip this one, all right? I'm so sorry. I'm trying to help you. This is a public service. Number 11, recovery from coronavirus. Now there's something relevant. This is what we need to know. Recovery from coronavirus may not confer immunity, experts warn. May not. Let me get this straight. Recovery from coronavirus. In other words, if you get coronavirus and you recover from it, that may not make you immune, warns experts. So if it does make you immune, this statement is still true because the statement doesn't tell you anything. It just says that it may not confer immunity. It might not. So that statement really doesn't actually say anything. I gotta get a job as an expert. I mean, dang, these people get paid all this money and all you have to do is make a vague statement like that in the press? I mean, I'm sitting here for no pay at all. I get nothing. I get no compensation, and I'm making these big, long, complicated videos, editing them in a car where all I have to eat is potato chips. For the last 3 weeks with the shutdown order, I can't eat anything that resembles solid food. And these experts, they're getting paid to just put out these statements that it doesn't matter if they're true or not. This is, wow. But they're experts, so we got to look at this. They're experts. I mean, they know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. That's why they're called experts, you see. Number 12, smokers' broken bones may heal less quickly, study. Which is their way of saying a study, the researchers who did a study say that smokers' broken bones may heal less quickly. What do you mean they may heal? Does that mean they do or they don't? Because may kind of means, well, maybe, they may not, they may... Hold on, what's this? A small study. They call this a small study of, what? 50 smokers and non-smokers. They studied 50 smokers and non-smokers out of 7.6 billion people on the face of the earth. That's a small study, all right. In fact, I'm not quite who funded this thing? Who would put their money into 50? What? What? Look at the article. The article itself, the news report says, facts and conclusions presented may have since changed and may no longer be accurate. What the? What the? I don't even know what this means. This has nothing to do with reality. Any smoker I've known who's broken a bone that heals the same as anyone else. I don't even know what this is talking about. All right, I'm skipping this one. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to waste your time. I'm really sorry. Okay, here we go. This one's from ABC News. And ABC News, like all the mainstream news, is an honorable news service. So now we know we're dealing with the truth. Danger. Ooh. Danger of wearing flats. Some could lead to... Uh-oh. I'm paying attention to this one, folks. Danger of wearing flats. Some could lead to surgery or infections. Experts warn that some types of flats could lead to ingrown toenails and even bone infection. What do you mean some types of flats? Well, what about this one? That's what I need to know. Is this one of them or not? I need to know. I don't want to get an ingrown toenail. I mean, some flats could lead. What does that even mean? So if this is one of the flats they're talking about, it could lead to ingrown toenails? Or... I'm totally confused. I am totally confused. And I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to shut off the camera for a moment, because when I reached down to take my shoe off, I knocked my drink over, as I do pretty much every single day, and I have to use half a roll of paper to clean this up. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I cleaned up the spilled drink, and I'm going to take a chance. I put my flat back on. I call it a shoe, but let's move on. Wow. ABC News gave us that story. Wow, interesting. I don't know what they mean. Experts warn that these foods may cause cancer, and they might already be in your kitchen cupboard. Experts warn that these foods may cause cancer. So if they don't cause cancer, the statement is still true, because the statement is so vague it doesn't tell you anything. And they might, or might not, already be in your kitchen cupboard. Let me see. Here's the article. Everyday items that could increase our risk of getting cancer. What do you mean? They could increase our risk. Now, what does it even mean to say increase our risk? So if I eat this, I'm not going to get cancer, but if I eat it, then I've got a 4.2% increased risk that I might get cancer. But this is saying you could have an increased risk. So if I eat it, I could have a 4.2% increased risk. I don't know, maybe not. And which is it anyway? Because in one part of the article they say there's an increased risk, whatever that means, of getting cancer, and in another part it says it may cause cancer, like cause and effect relationship. Wow, my head's gonna explode on this one. I'm gonna skip this one, okay? This isn't really telling me anything at all. It sounds pretty rhetorical. Let's move on, shall we? Number 15, rumbling Indonesia volcano could trigger more tsunami. Where is my staff? Man. Rumbling Indonesia volcano could trigger more tsunamis, experts warn. Another tsunami could could strike Indonesia, experts have warned. That seems kind of redundant, doesn't it? I'm not sure why they said that twice, unless they're trying to impress you with, I don't know. So it could trigger more tsunamis, but that also means that maybe it won't, because it only could trigger. And don't earth volcanoes often trigger tsunamis? Isn't that kind of what part and parcel of the earthquake and such that comes with a volcano? And, you know, by definition, don't tsunamis kind of come out of nowhere? I mean, they're caused by earthquakes, volcanoes. They're caused by things that cause a massive Earth-scale disturbance that come out of nowhere that we can't predict. So, by definition, a tsunami comes out of nowhere. So I'm not entirely sure what they're telling us that a 10-year-old child doesn't already know. I'm going to skip this one and go find something that's going to help you stay safe. Thanks to the experts. Thank God we have these experts. Number 16, no amount of alcohol is safe, experts warn. There you go. No amount of alcohol. Not even a shot. The report's researchers have called for global medical guidance to be revised. So they're calling for policy changes in the public health system based on what? I mean, listen to what they're saying. They didn't say could, they didn't say may, they didn't say might. They said no amount of alcohol is safe. That's as definitive as it gets. That is science, folks. Except for one thing, I see an awful lot of people drinking alcohol, and, you know, unless they're out of control with it, it really doesn't seem to hurt them, does it? I mean, I don't know when the last time I had a drink was. I think it might have been when I videotaped a coworker's wedding in 2008. I think that's the last time, and I probably just had a beer or something. I don't like alcohol. And I haven't been sick in 30 years. Huh. I'm gonna get to the truth on this one. Let's see. You know, I seem to recall, though, with all the study I've done on the anti-smoking industry and the playbook that they wrote, over the years I've seen a lot of people trying to apply that playbook to alcohol, because when it comes down to it, it's a moral issue. It's not a science issue. The science behind anti-smoking is the worst science probably that has ever been or ever will be produced. It is the most fraudulent junk science ever. And they created this playbook, and since it's so moralistic, it's just people who hate tobacco. There's a lot of those people. A lot of them like alcohol, that's why most of them don't apply it to it, but a lot of people do want to apply it to alcohol for moral reasons, and that's what this sounds like to me. So if that's the case, this isn't science, this is junk science. And the interesting thing is, if that's the case, then it means that my prediction came true, while their prediction is crap. And science requires that your prediction is specific and comes true. It almost seems like I'm the expert, like I'm the legitimate scientist, because my prediction came true and theirs is junk. I'm sorry, folks. That one sounds a bit like junk science. I'm going to move on. What else we got for you here? Medical experts. All right, now, finally, people who know what they're talking about. Medical expert, not these vague experts, medical experts, warn of underexposed abortion risk. What? Hold it. Okay, I see what's going on. Maybe they're talking about illegal abortions, you know, coat hangers, stuff like that. All right, let me check this out here. Let's see. No, they're talking about surgical abortions performed by trained medical professionals. Medical experts warn of underexposed abortion risk. There's a whole bunch of things that are attributable to abortions that are really, really bad for the mother. And the problem I have here is that Governor Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota, has a 100% rating from Planned Parenthood. He fully supports the murder of babies. And he's an empathetic man. He's a great leader, according to the Star Tribune. So if abortion had all these risks that weren't being talked about publicly the way they should be, he would know that, right? And then he wouldn't support the murder of babies, if only, even if he didn't really care about the babies being murdered, the mother, for the mother's safety. So, but that doesn't make any sense. I'm really confused on this one. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can figure this one out. I can't figure this one out. It's a medical expert. It's more than one. It's more than one medical expert warns that abortion has these risks that are not being talked about. And yet, Governor Tim Walz has no problem with abortion, with murdering babies. I'm sorry, people. I'm just really confused on this one. I don't mean to abandon a project like this, but I've got to move along for your sake. I don't understand this one. I've got some cognitive dissonance here I can't seem to figure out. Tim Walz is an honorable man. He shut down our whole society here to protect us all. That's the reason I'm in this car. That's the reason I'm not at work right now. Why would he ever support something that hurts the mothers like that? Okay, let's move on. Number 18, Harvard expert. Harvard University. I mean, if you can't trust Harvard, who can you trust? Harvard expert warns Florida lawmakers about marijuana legalization. I gotta see what this. Harvard Medical School psychobiologist says marijuana use has risks and calls legalization a, quote, massive human experiment. Ugh. Yee. I'm sorry, that's one of my triggers. I've spent many years studying eugenics and the Holocaust, and human experiment is what is usually associated with that. So what this Harvard expert is saying is that legalizing marijuana is basically making a human experiment out of all these pot smokers. So if they end up suffering and dying in misery, if they end up having their lives destroyed by this, it's nothing more than an experiment by the people who want to have it legalized. But again, the problem is Governor Tim Walz is a big fan of legalizing marijuana, and he's an empathetic, honorable man. He's a great leader, according to the Star Tribune. That doesn't make any sense. Let me see if we got any other information here that'll help make sense out of this. Bertha Madras, a psychobiologist at Harvard Medical School. Harvard Medical School? That's, I don't know, you would think that's a halfway, I don't know, maybe you think it's a decent source. This person told a House panel that states which approve the sale and use of marijuana are dealing now with increased emergency room visits, heightened teenage pot smoking. Now, why would kids start smoking pot just because it's legal, just because they suddenly have access to it? That doesn't make any, well, it kind of does make sense. And a host, which means a bunch, of health, public safety, and societal changes. But Tim Walz is in favor of legalizing marijuana. Why would he do that if it's this human experiment that has the possibility of destroying countless lives, and even if it doesn't destroy countless lives, it's going to hurt an awful lot of people? Why would he do that? It doesn't... I mean, I've got this Harvard Medical School expert over here, and I've got Tim Walz, who the Star Tribune tells me is a great leader. I'm wow. I mean, it does kind of make me wonder, though. I was always wondering, how does a governor of a state become an advocate for marijuana use? Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to advocate it unless you've tried it yourself. But by definition, since it's illegal, that would mean that the governor of Minnesota has broken our drug laws at some point. And that can't be, because he's a great leader, and great leaders set a good example. They don't break the law and then put their hand and take an oath to uphold the law. I mean, in fact, honestly, to tell the truth, I assumed during the shutdown, while he's holing up in his home with his family, I assumed this would probably be a good time for him to teach his little children, you know, how to smoke pot, how to use a mind-altering drug. Because, I mean, when's he going to have a better time? He's a busy man otherwise. I figured, because, I mean, isn't he in favor of his own children smoking pot? He wants to make it legal. I mean, why would he do that if it causes increased emergency room visits, heightened teenage pot smoking, well, there you go, and a host of health, public safety, and societal changes. Wow, I'm getting a headache from trying to figure this one out. Wow. I don't know. I mean, wow. That's an expert who said it, though. All right, I'm going to move on. This one's making my head spin. I can't figure it out. I'm just going to do one more. Whew, this one for sure. I'm here to help. That's why I'm doing this, folks. All right, let's move on to this next one. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem hits back at critics for her coronavirus response. Quote, "I believe in our freedoms and liberties." What is that doing in here? What does that have to do with experts speaking? I gotta talk to my staff. This isn't relevant, is it? But as long as it's there, let me look at it for a second, because this is kind of interesting, actually. South Dakota, which is adjacent to Minnesota, governor says, "I believe in our freedoms and liberties," because she has not put a stay-at-home order in place like Governor Tim Walz did to protect us all. Let me look at this a bit. I'm kind of curious. South Dakota has more than 1,300 positive coronavirus cases? Holy moly. What's wrong with this lady? 1,300? And 7 deaths? 7 people have died. How irresponsible can you get? She didn't put a stay-at-home order in place, so 7 people could have been alive. Let me look up some numbers here. I want to compare this out here. Let's see what the numbers are in Minnesota, because it's going to be a lot better because we have a stay-at-home order. Governor Walz is protecting us all. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. What? 94 deaths in Minnesota. Not what? 90. I got to wrap my head around this. I'm going to speak out loud. South Dakota has no stay-at-home order. They have 7 deaths. Minnesota has a stay-at-home order, and they have 94 deaths. I got it. Minnesota probably has more people than South Dakota. That makes sense. Okay, let's check this out. Let me get the numbers here. Let's see. Square footage is almost the same, about 86,000 square miles for Minnesota, 77,000 square miles for South Dakota. All right, here we go. Populations. Yeah, see? There you go. There's your answer. Now, this one makes sense, finally. Minnesota has 5.6 million people. South Dakota only has 885,000 people, not even 1 million people. That's why proportionally. But you know what? I'm just going to do a quick experiment here. Let me divide this out and see what that comes to. Let's see here. Okay, so that means that in Minnesota, 0.0017, which is basically 0.002% of the population has died from coronavirus. 0.002% of the... He shut down the state for that? 0.002%. What? I can't work for a living. I can't earn money in an empty office where I would be the only person working there, the only one and only person in that office, because everyone else is working from home. I'm not. And he did that because 0.0017% of the population died from related to coronavirus. In other words, they died and they had coronavirus, even though coronavirus might not have actually caused the death. That makes me mad. Let me get the South Dakota numbers here. They must be much higher. They don't have a stay-at-home order. What? South Dakota, it's 0.0008% of the population who's died from coronavirus. So far fewer people per capita are dying from coronavirus in South Dakota where there's no stay-at-home order. What the heck? That doesn't make any sense. That almost makes it sound like having a stay-at-home order does nothing except cause an extreme amount of pain and suffering and harm to people who did nothing wrong. People who were just trying to work for a living, trying to pay their bills, trying to take care of their own family without having the government give them handouts. You know, like this homeless person who wants to work for a living at his job. That doesn't... I am totally confused, people. I'm so sorry. I mean, this video is meant to help you. I gotta get new staff. I mean, I gotta get people who know how to cleanse data before they present it to others. I gotta hire the people at these news agencies is what I gotta do. I really apologize for wasting your time. I'm so sorry. Please come back for my next video. I'm finishing up my series that exposes how computer models of pandemics are junk science. I hope you'll come back for that. Take care.